In this box, and this one over here, is Structube's Reno table. This one is substantially heavy. Scale says 100.5 pounds. And this one is really lightweight, 15 pounds. So plan accordingly. Let's see what's inside the boxes. Inside the box is the tabletop, 90.5 pounds, now upside down, so I can mount the 4 legs on. It looks like it's been pre-drilled and has these threaded metal inserts in them, and the legs just bolt on. Now let's talk about this. Is acacia wood, natural wood. That's why it's 90.5 pounds and it's 1.5 inches thick. You can see these saw cuts on the back side that don't seem to be lining up with any of the glue joints in the wood. They glued it together of different boards. There's one glue line here. They weren't aiming for the glue lines. What they were aiming for is a uniform spacing that considers changes in temperature and changes in humidity, so the table expands and moves uniformly without buckling, because a bumpy, lumpy table wouldn't be much use. So that's why you have in the hardware, this is what's called an expansion slot, so the wood can move with the screw head in it freely. With this movement in mind, bolting down table legs also has the same idea. So center it, whatever temperature and relative humidity you're working in, center the bolts. They don't need to line up all to the left or all to the right. The idea is expansion, yes? So that's how the bolts get placed. The table comes with these instructions. This is not an assembly instruction. This is taking care of it. It talks about humidity and temperature change here, and avoiding chemicals, sharp objects, etc. Don't burn it with a hot dish, obviously. Your beautiful acacia wood table. In this paragraph, they talk about wood developing cracks when temperature and humidity change suddenly. So obviously it's in a heated home here with relatively stable temperature and humidity throughout the year. So, but this is cracking control and environmental control, why they have these saw cuts in on the underside of the table. These are the actual instructions, and it says work on a soft surface, some kind of padding. I just use these shipping foam chunks to work on. And the next thing, it says tighten to 100%. Yeah, 100% of what? So I've loosely placed the bolts. None of them have been tightened up. They thread in really, really easily, like so. So let's see where 100% is. Center it in the expansion slots, thereabouts. Now, let's think it through. Is the wood stronger than steel? These are steel bolts, obviously not. So they can be snugged up or tightened with the wrench. The reason why they give you a small wrench, so the bolts don't get over tightened. There, just about that much. Obviously you don't want a loose leg or wobbly one, because a wobbly motion will rip out the threaded inserts from the wood. But this is all the tightening torque that this needs. So with this short lever arm on the wrench, just there, a little bit of tightening that you can do. If you want to go really scientific, you can use a torque wrench and torque them to something really, really low, such as 5 Newton meters. I have set 5 Newton meters of torque is typically used in tightening bicycle components. So there, it's been set to 5 Newton meters of torque, and this way, there. All of the bolts get tightened to the same torque, there. But there, but doing it by this tool is just as good. Don't rip them out of the wood, obviously. Do your best to center the bolts. It's not always possible evenly, like in this case, but there is still a little bit of gap there on that side. And of course, make sure the bolt heads are supported on both edges of the slots. It's barely catching the edges. It's fine. Like I said, this is an expansion slot. You can see in the hardware, it's not exactly even or equal everywhere. Manufactured in India, so their metal is gouged out, then covered up. Oh well. How's the welding? The weldments look reasonable. A little bit of welding spattered, of course, not cleaned up, whatever. It will hold 90.5 pounds plus dinnerware. And this is how it looks like with the chairs that I built earlier. So let's talk about acacia wood just a little bit. Again, you can see it's made of different strips of wood, and yes, it is 1.5 inches thick. So you can see, because these are different strips of boards, that the wood grain in each of them is slightly different. So your table will have different boards with different wood grain, guaranteed, but by and large, there's gonna be an up and down directionality to the wood boards. The tree was standing up, well, either this way or this way. But you will see either which way sapwood on it that's closest to the bark. The bark was removed from the tree here. You're not gonna get actual bark. You could get little bark pockets like this. It's fine. The wood is not defective. This is where branches grew on it. No animals are not gonna crawl out of this wood or whatever. It's fine. It's been varnished and it's been in a woodworking shop for months, okay? So you're gonna get a little bit of sapwood, maybe both sides, bark pockets, pitch pockets closer to the center of the tree where different branches grew at different directions. You will see a corresponding wood grain throughout the entire thickness of the board, and maybe even on the underside. Well, it possibly is covered by this steel strip. You would see how this branch used to be growing from the center of the tree. You can see this, the growth rings in the board are running this way, so the center of the tree was somewhere here. So this branch used to grow from the center of the tree out in that direction. So you'll find these features, some are smaller, some are bigger. They have all been filled in with varnish. So when you spill something on the table, none of it is going to be soaked up by the different botanical features of the wood. So that's how the table looks like when it's built together and glued up together. And that's also why you're gonna have different boards with different botanical features showing on it, different colors. Some could be darker. This is a mineral deposit in the tree along this growth ring here. You can see same here, it goes through the entire thickness. So this is not a surface damage or blemish, or nobody burned the wood here along this line. It just has this darker color. When the tree changes the growth rings from spring wood to late wood, there, from spring wood to late wood, the late wood has this darker color to it as the tree deposits more minerals everywhere in the growth rings. So late wood is always a darker streak on this particular species. There you can see it, as well as shorter flecks are also visible depending on the cut of the board. That's what you're gonna get if you order this table from Structube. So due to the different features changing across the width of the table here, if you run your hand across it, you can feel the different textures as they correspond to the different parts of the wood boards. Same as lengthwise. Lengthwise it's going to be more uniform, but across the grain or across the width is going to be way more noticeable. That's fine. That's how wood grows, and nothing's wrong with it. In a store looking at acacia wood cutting boards, the same idea is also obvious. No two of them are alike. They are all glued up of narrower strips of wood, and they all have the same botanical features on them. Beautiful they are. This one is acacia wood as well, and so is this, a butcher's block. This one is cut end grain though, where the individual pieces, you can see the end grain of a wood. If you're looking at just this one piece, this is how the tree trunk used to be, or a branch with the center somewhere here. You get the idea. This one is sliced uniquely, and they choose these darker colors because they are harder and more dense, packed with minerals which make the board more resistant to acids from the food. And so for a cutting board, I would want to avoid the softer sapwood in all of these, and would want to pick a combination where sapwood is minimal and most of it is denser, more wear resistant heartwood.